Welcome everyone to tonight's core volunteer training lesson. It's on boosting your social media game. And tonight we're very lucky to have our very own social media expert. So we have Allison Cabisco on the line tonight, and she's CCL's Marketing and Events Coordinator. Allison helps organize the international conference, so you may have seen her in DC, the November Congressional Education Day, the Advanced Climate Policy Camp. All of these are in Washington, and she also works in the marketing department on the overall strategy and branding of CCL, including helping provide and create resources for volunteers and in our social media support. So thanks so much for being on the call tonight, Allison. I'll pass it to you in just a quick moment. Tonight's social media goals, hopefully after the lesson, participants should be able to feel equipped to do the following three things. Make decisions in the field about which social media platforms will fit best with their own goals and interests. Really get started in using those platforms, and especially tonight we're going to focus on Facebook since it is the most used within our network, and Allison will go over that in a bit. And then also know how to recruit new members as well as maintain and engage chapter members that really help motivate their own action online as well as in person, and attracting the attention of your own elected officials and members of Congress. So we've got a full slate ahead of us. Let's hope that we can get to all of it. I'm sure that Allison absolutely will deliver. And again, as we wait, feel free to put in any chat box questions you've got, and we'll make sure to get to them in Q&A. But without further ado, Allison, I'll pass it to you. And thanks again for being on the call tonight, everyone.
Thanks so much, Brett, and thanks everyone for being here. It's nice to meet you, and I'm so glad you want to learn more about social media. It's a great way to engage with your community, new volunteers, and also your elected officials. So today we're going to talk mostly about Facebook, and I'm going to touch really briefly on Instagram and Twitter. And the reason being is that Facebook is the most popular amongst our CCL volunteers. We've done a survey of them, and most of them are on Facebook. And Facebook has 2 billion monthly users, so as you can see, it's super popular. And also, of these social media platforms, it has the best tools, we think, for our chapters and volunteers to use organization-wide, since they have a few more tools to use for events and sharing things. So we're a big fan of Facebook. So we do have an Instagram page and also a Twitter page, which Steve Volk and Flannery Winchester, they run those two platforms. So if you have more specific questions about Instagram and Twitter, please feel free to let us know, and we can get your questions to Steve and Flannery, who can better help you. And tonight we're not going to cover some other platforms you may have heard of. So we're not going to talk about YouTube, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Pinterest, or Google, simply because they're not as popular, they're not as used for CCL. So regardless of any platform that you're using, I do want to remind everyone of your CCL values, which are nonpartisan, optimism, relationships, focus, integrity, and personal power. So I just want to put these in the front of your brain just to remember that when you are on social media, you're representing yourself, but if you are representing CCL, just to try and keep these in mind, especially the nonpartisan one, because we try to, cater to both sides of the aisle and keep building on those relationships. So a few quick facts about Twitter. Twitter has 328 million active users, so this too is a really popular platform. It's a very fast-moving social media, so a lot of people use it as their source of news, and it's a way to engage with news stations, reporters, celebrities, other CCL chapters you can engage with, your members of Congress. And Twitter, the posts are very short, so it's a 140-character limit. So it's very quick, very short social media platform. And hashtags are very popular on Twitter. So you'll see people will use hashtags to try and get their posts what's called trending. So it kind of builds up popularity on a certain topic. So we have some examples here of some hashtags. Act on climate, climate change, put a price on it, or undo your part is a new one that we've started using with our undo your part video. We also have Instagram, which has 700 million active users. So this one's even bigger than Twitter. And this is quickly growing, and it's very millennial heavy. 90% of Instagram users are 35 years or younger. And Instagram is based around photos. So you'll see a little snapshot to the right, which is our CCL National Instagram profile. So you're able to have a little tidbit about your organization or yourself. You could put a link in here, but it is mostly about the pictures. And hashtags are important on Instagram too. So here is an example of an Instagram post, which someone looks familiar there. Hi, Brett. So it's a picture, and then you can put filters on it to make it pretty. And then you can put a little comment. You can tag people in the picture or the other organizations. And you can also use a lot of hashtags here. So on Twitter, it's suggested that you use about 2 hashtags per post, but on Instagram, you can use as many as you want to tell your story about the picture. So now let's move on to Facebook. So before we get into some details, I just want to talk a little bit about the levels that you can use Facebook. So there's profiles, groups, and pages. So I'll explain each of these briefly and what you would use each one for. So the first one is profiles, which before you do anything on Facebook, you're going to start with making your own personal profile. So this is you as an individual. It's your name, your photo, and any details about yourself that you want to put in, where you work, where you live, where you went to school. So we're not going to have time to go over how to make a Facebook profile. I'm sure most people have this already. But if you do need some help in setting up a profile, I have a couple links here. And also the Facebook Help Center is really great to answer any questions you have with setting up a profile. The next level within Facebook you can use is groups. And this is designed for smaller group communications. So this is ideal if you have a specific purpose in mind to talk about with a select number of people. So you can create a group yourself, or you can join a group that you find. Some groups are public, some are private, so you can ask to join certain groups. For example, this is our social media action team group, which is private. So if you're interested in joining, you can ask to join and we'll let you in. But the purpose of this group in particular, I'll talk a little bit more about later on, but the people in it are just talking about a certain topic, so it's not as public as a news feed would be. So then another level that you can use within Facebook is pages. And pages are designed to be the official way to have a presence on Facebook. So most organizations, charities, or community groups or businesses usually have a page. So this is how CCL National and most of our chapters or regions or state operate on Facebook. So usually if a chapter is just getting started with creating a page, someone has to have a profile first, and then they can go ahead and create a page. So this is something that could be a good project for maybe a younger volunteer or a tech-savvy volunteer within your group, or maybe someone that's not really sure where they fit in. They're looking for some way to get involved. Being a page administrator is a really great job to have. It could also be a good idea to have a few people to help with the Facebook page so that you have more people finding things to post and responding to people. So it just spreads out the work a little bit more. So once you have your page set up, the next thing you need to do is to find some people to follow it. So when you're posting things, that you have people that are looking at it and engaging with it. So once you have your page set up, you'll see a little option underneath your cover photo that has 3 dots, and then you'll be able to invite friends from here. So if you're the administrator of the page, or if you follow a page yourself, you will be able to invite friends to like and follow your page. So you can invite your own friends, and you can also have people in your chapter do this as well. This could be a nice little activity to do at a chapter meeting to get people to like your own chapter page, or you can have them like the CCL National page. So now you have your page set up, you got some people following it. So now you want to think about some kind of things that you can post on your page to start engaging with folks, maybe get some new volunteers and get some involvement with people in your community. So at a national level, we try to follow the 70, 20, and 10% rule. So 70% of our content is value. So this is interesting content, anything that's informative or newsworthy, entertaining, any announcements or letters to the editor that have been published. Then we use 20% of shared content. So we take, well, we don't take, we borrow content from other organizations or other CCL chapters, other charities that we're working with, and we post some of their content that seems relevant to our audience. And then we have 10% of promotional content, which kind of speaks for itself. It's promoting any events or webinars or a donation drive we're having, or maybe a call-in day. So it's anything that you're trying to promote out to your audience. So I'll give a couple examples of each one. These are taken from the CCL national page to give you an idea. So here are two examples of a value kind of content. So the one on the left is kind of a news item that Jessie Diggins was in the Olympics, and she's a friend of a carbon tax. So we just want to give her a little love here to get people to watch her events. And then we have on the right an announcement about the Climate Solutions Caucus. So we always make an announcement when a pair joins. And then we like to tag the representatives so then they're seeing that we're appreciating what they're doing. So here's an example of a shared piece of content. So we follow the Years of Living Dangerously's page, and they have a lot of great videos that are relevant to our audience. So we'll post some of their videos from time to time. And this is really great because it's building a relationship with that organization as well. So our volunteers are learning more about Years of Living Dangerously. And then hopefully Years is also posting some of our content so that their followers are learning more about CCL. So we're not only building relationships with members of Congress, but also with other organizations out in the world. And finally, we have promotional content. So here's an example where we are promoting our weekly Wednesday introductory call. So we post this probably once a month to try and get some new folks that are following us on Facebook, but they're not yet involved with the organization. So maybe they want to listen to the introductory call and learn how to get more involved as a volunteer. So a little bit more about events. Creating events is a really great idea to post information about your local chapter meetings or any local events you're having, maybe a film screening, or maybe you're doing a presentation out in the field, maybe you're participating in a tabling event. You can use events on Facebook for a variety of reasons, and it's a great way to engage with the people that are following your page and also in your community to try and get them to your events that you're hosting. So when you post an event on your page, your followers will see it, but you'll also want to specifically invite them to the event. So from the event, you can share and invite your friends. So when your friends list pops up, you can invite from there. So again, you'll kind of want people that are in your chapter to do this with their friends too, because only your friends are going to show up if you're doing it yourself. So I showed a few different kinds of posts, but here are a few more tips when you're writing posts, because if you're just posting links to articles, it may not get as much as engagement as you want. So here are some things you can do that might get people to respond and to like a little bit more. So one thing you can do is have a specific request and a specific call to action for your post. So here's an example to the left when we launched the Undo Your Part video. So we asked people to please watch, and then we also asked them to share. So even though we could have just posted this video and left it, but we asked people to watch it, and then we also asked them to share. So we're telling them to do something. Another thing you can do is express thanks, kind of what we did with that Climate Solutions Caucus announcement, we were expressing thanks to the members of Congress for joining the caucus. So that's one way to express thanks. You can also express thanks to your own volunteers within your chapter. Maybe they really rocked it at a tabling event. So you could post a picture of them at the table and say thank you for participating in the event, which also touches onto the next bullet, praising volunteers. You can also do this when their letters to the editor are published. You can put a link to their letter, and then you can tag your volunteer that was published and say, thank you for the great work you did on this letter to the editor. A couple more tips for the kinds of posts. So video posts tend to perform the best. They show up best in Facebook's algorithms. So just remember that you only have a couple seconds to get people's attention. The first 3 seconds is usually what draws people in. So try and keep all your interesting information up front so people keep watching. You can also do a Facebook Live, which will show up in people's news feeds too. So if you're having an event or at a chapter meeting, you could try out the Facebook Live so that people that aren't able to make it, maybe they can participate in some way. Posts that have photos in them perform next well after videos. So usually pictures that include faces of people, animals, nature, and positive looking photos do well. And then posts that are short. So studies have shown that status updates that are between 80 and 100 characters get higher engagement. And just so you know, that sentence right there that starts with studies and ends with engagement, that's 95 characters long. So you can get a sense of how long that really is. And I'll say one more thing. This has newly come out with Facebook's algorithms that now posts that are coming from your friends are going to show up more in your newsfeed than posts that are coming through from pages. So even though we're posting as a page, things are still coming through. It's not coming through as much. So it's becoming more important that people are sharing things amongst themselves. So at CCL, we're trying to get our volunteers to, we'll post things and then we want them to share with their friends so that our information is still getting out there effectively. So once you have some posts figured out, you are able to schedule them. So you don't have to worry about sitting in Facebook all the time and, getting in on your lunch hour to go make sure you post something. You can schedule things way far in advance. So if you want to set up posts for the whole week or for the next couple of days, you're able to do that. And you're also able to reschedule things. So if you want to change it around, you're free to do that. So that's really convenient. And it's also fun to play around with scheduling to see what kind of posts do better during certain types of day, or do things work out better on the weekend or during the week. So it's fun to experiment to see what works with your audience. We talked a lot about using a page kind of on behalf as your chapter. So I want to talk a little about what you can do as an individual to engage with your own legislators. We're learning more from the Congressional Management Foundation that social media is an important tool for members of Congress to learn more about what's going on from their constituents, to learn about their concerns and their comments. So they are looking at social media, just like they're listening to phone calls and emails and letters that you're sending them. So on Facebook, you can go ahead and like your legislators' pages, and then you can check on their posts regularly to see what they're up to. Some of them post more than others. Some will post press releases. Some of them will post pictures of them out in the community. Some of them use Facebook Live as a kind of virtual town hall, which is kind of cool. So take a look at what they're doing, and then feel free to share things that you like, and you can also use this as a way to appreciate them. And you can also, when you share their posts, that's one of the metrics that their staff really looks at. So sharing good things that they do is really helpful for them to know. And Facebook also has what's called a town hall function. So you'll see in the picture there, it will come up on your left-hand side. And when you click that, it will give you the option to enter your address. And then all of your representatives will come up, and then it will let you follow them from there, and it will let you contact them. So then you're staying up to date on everything that they're posting, and it also helps you stay up to date with election schedules. The town hall feature also lets you put a constituent badge next to your name if you do enter your address. So you'll see in the bottom, there's a little icon that will show up next to your name. So anytime you comment on a post, they'll see that you are a constituent and they'll pay more attention to it and most likely reply to you. If you are commenting on something, they are very fast-paced on social media. So if it's over 24 hours, they most likely won't look at it. They'll probably have moved on. So try and respond to something within the couple of hours that it was posted. So I mentioned before that we do have a social media action team group, which if you're interested, feel free to ask to join. And like I said before, this is just a select group of people that they're talking about a certain topic, which is social media. So they're sharing best practices and ideas to help each other. So I suggest for all of you to join that if you like. There's some people that have been using Facebook for a long time and are veterans at it in there, so they can give you some really good ideas and some things that you can post. And you'll also get weekly tips and action alerts from CCL National. And our hope is that this is trying to get around that new Facebook algorithm, since most of, well, not most of, but some things that we're posting are not showing up in people's news feeds anymore. So we're hoping that if people are sharing amongst their own network, that our information is still getting out there.
Here, and I want to make sure that we have a chance to jump in and actually not just talk about this, but help everyone get started for wherever you're at. And so let's transition to our partner action for tonight. And again, just a reminder, we always do these as the third part of our core volunteer training program, just because social science research shows that, you know, it's better than just being a passive kind of consumer of information to actually put something into plan and play. And so we're hoping and helping every week the attendees just help you set up a specific measurable short-term goal. You can also do a stretch one if you want, and then create that support system with somebody tonight that you can meet and exchange information with and help kind of make a plan to maybe even check in with, or even ask questions of each other, and then really celebrate as you're moving through your accomplishments. And so every week, they're always on this URL. It's just bit.ly. If you're tuning in by phone, that's bit.ly/CCL partners. I'll put that in the chat box for anyone that's on the computer. And you can see the same activity recommended there that you can see here on the screen. And that is tonight's three-part recommendation. Allison, I'll actually give it to you to kind of walk through all of these, and then we'll pivot to the actual breakout rooms.
Sure. So here are some things if you're just getting started on Facebook and you know, getting familiar with CCL's presence on Facebook and other social media. If you have Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, if you can follow and like us. So on Facebook, it's facebook.com/Citizens Climate Lobby. And then invite 5 of your friends to like our page too. And then on Instagram and Twitter, you can follow us at Citizens Climate. And then the next thing you can do is find your member of Congress. So on Facebook, you can try the town hall feature. On Twitter, you can find your member of Congress and you can appreciate them in some way, find something they've done recently. You can mention to them the Climate Solutions Caucus if they are not yet on it, or if they are, you can thank them for being on it. Now on Instagram, if you follow us there, just find a photo and comment on it. And then number 3, we have some events coming up. So we had a whole swath of regional events that just passed, but we also have our 9th annual international conference, which is in Washington, D.C. this June. So this is our biggest event, and I hope everyone can come. But even if you can't, please come to our event page on Facebook and click interested. Or if you are going, click going. And I forgot to mention this before, actually. When you invite people to events, it's helpful if they click interested, even if they're not going, because that will help the event show up in more people's news feeds. So even if you can't go, please click interested. And then you can invite others to the event too. And then if you want to start thinking about how you can use Facebook events in your own chapter.
I've also put both Allison and my email address here in the chat box. If you have any questions, feedback, comments, requests for what you wish we cover next time, anything at all, please feel free to reach out and make sure to let us know that. We really value everyone's input. And if you also would like to get more involved or are kind of at an impasse where you're not sure how to take your own advocacy locally to the next level, this is always a way that I really would love to help out. And I know that many of you are already very active locally, but if there's something that I can do, please let me know, because the point of these core volunteer training lessons is really to help kind of not only empower you with specific knowledge, but also form that kind of support network to help you know how your voice and interest can best be utilized. But before we go to breakout rooms, we just really wanted to thank the time for each of you that you've taken to be here on tonight's call. We know that all of your time is precious and that you're competing with a lot of other interests, so we hope that you found tonight's lesson to be useful. We also definitely want to uplift and appreciate your time, Allison, for helping us walk through really taking our social media game to the next level.